let's go to the mattresses. Welcome to Primary Technology, the show about the tech news that matters. Big week. We have our reviews of the M5 MacBook Pro, the M5 iPad Pro. Apple got F1 rights here in the United States. M5 Vision Pro's out there also. OpenAI finally released its AI-powered browser Atlas. Lots of thoughts about that. And is the iPhone Air selling any? All that and more coming up. This episode is brought to you by Clean My Mac and the Interconnected Podcast, and of course, all of you who support the show directly. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Robles, ready to go to the mattresses over the M5 MacBook Pro. My co-host Jason Aten. How's it going, Jason?
This was the hardest intro of my life because I was trying to not just start laughing because Steven glitched like 3 times trying to get through that.
I glitched.
Just like
and I actually have to edit. We don't have an editor.
I was trying to be a professional, so
I
was trying to not reflect on my face what I was thinking, which is, am I the one having a stroke or is Steven the one having a stroke?
No, it was me. It was totally me. I often glitch during the intro because I don't write it. I just do it off the cuff. And last week,
do it live.
For our 100th episode, which I was very happy, celebratory 100th episode, I forgot to edit a couple moments in the intro, so I glitched literally like it's in the show. Anyways, so that was a long diatribe. So we're here now. This is a new show. This is episode 101. Jason, do you know what movie that's from, Going to the Mattresses?
Well, I wasn't not sure. Mm-hmm. But then you gave more context. You didn't give more context. You used it as a threat.
Yeah.
So I feel like it might be like The Godfather.
That's correct. Yeah. It is The Godfather because we're about to fight over the M5 MacBook Pro.
Not really.
You subtweeted me. The loudest subtweet heard around the world.
But the fact that you think it was about you actually says more about you than me.
I will read the quote. Anyway, I would give 5-star review shout-outs this week, but we don't have any. And so if you have not given us a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts, we would love for you to do that. Let's hit 500, or not 500. That'd be a reach goal, but 400 5-star reviews by the end of the year. Leave us a rating and review in Apple Podcasts. We'd appreciate it there. Also, we have a very good pre-show this week. We say some things we can't say publicly.
Not curse words. Just
no. Jason almost cursed.
Listen, I'm a professional. I know better. I don't glitch.
It was very close. But you can listen to the pre-show, get an ad-free version, get Primary Tech Daily, get our bonus episodes, all of that at join.primarytech.fm when you support the show there or directly in Apple Podcasts. Now, real quick, because we got all the reviews of the M5 stuff to get into, I did have an interview with the iPad team from Apple. So I put that link in the show notes. And it was I'll say a very curated interview, if you know what I mean. But I did get to ask them at the end how they attach their Apple Pencil to their iPad. And I don't know if you saw it, Jason, but I got one answer and one non-answer from the team.
And I did not have a chance to watch this yet. So what was their answer?
Well, basically that the first person said I was wrong. And then the second person refused to answer. They gave the most Apple answer of like, I'm going to answer that a little differently, which is that we love being able to allow people to attach the Apple Pencil however they like.
And you say, that's not what I asked. I asked how you do it. I didn't ask how you designed the product.
I didn't want to get belligerent, but yeah, they did not answer the question. So one did. I was like, he wasn't prepped. No, just kidding. But I was glad I got to do that. So we talked about the iPad, and we're going to get into the reviews as well. Also, this came out, was it Friday of last week after we dropped the show?
No, wasn't it Thursday after the show?
There were 2 things that dropped. There was something that dropped Thursday and something that dropped Friday. I forget what it was. But Apple got the F1 deal that has been rumored for a long time. Streaming rights here in the U.S. So next year or next season, if you have an Apple TV Plus subscription, no extra cost, unlike the MLS deal or whatever, you'll be able to watch all the F1 stuff here in the United States on Apple TV Plus. This only applies to U.S. people, like outside the U.S. This is not a part of the Apple Plus subscription. But, yeah, whatever they paid Brad Pitt for that movie paid off, I guess, right?
I mean,
they wanted this deal.
Yeah, well, so this was actually confusing for people because, like, right now, F1 races are on ESPN, and they also have F1 TV, which is a separate app and subscription that you can watch the races on. And Apple in the U.S. will be showing some races and all of the practices and qualifying for free in the Apple TV app. And then if you subscribe to Apple TV, formerly Apple TV
I said
Plus,
Apple TV Plus. It's not Plus anymore.
Formerly Apple TV Plus, then you will be able to get all of the races and all of the extra, content related to that as a part of that subscription. And you will also get access to F1 TV Premium, which gives you like the ability to choose like to follow along in a car, like with the drivers, like all that stuff. So that's currently a separate subscription, and that subscription is actually more expensive than Apple TV's subscription. So actually, if you are currently a subscriber to F1 and people are all mad, like, now I got to subscribe to Apple TV. Well, like, listen, you're going to get the same stuff because you're going to still be able to use the F1 app and pay less money. And plus you'll get the 4th season of Ted Lasso. Like, it's a good deal. And by the way, did you see Shrinking comes out in January, the next season?
I didn't know.
Yeah, so anyway, so it's a good deal. You pay less money, you get the same stuff, plus you get all this other stuff. So it's really a good deal for everyone.
I know a lot of people on social media, there's different things to be upset about. I'm not sure exactly why, especially, I don't know, this is going to have ramifications. I don't watch F1 live. I watched the Drive to Survive like Netflix show for a little bit, but that was it. So I don't know all the ramifications.
Listen, come with me to Vegas in a couple weeks and watch the race, and you'll want to watch them. It's pretty cool. But like, excited. Yeah, I think the reason is that there's probably a lot of people who are F1 fans who don't subscribe to Apple TV,
right?
Which is also why this makes a lot of sense for everybody, for Apple, because there's a lot of people who watch F1 who don't. And this is different though than like the MLS deal, because the MLS deal that very few people watch is a thing you have to pay extra for. Right.
It's an add-on.
And it's different than Major League Baseball, which has 2 games a week on Fridays?
Friday night, yeah.
Yeah. This is going to have it all. Now there's like 20 races or whatever. So they'll all be on Apple TV. But the part that I was surprised by, like, because right now you can watch F1 races on ESPN if you have ESPN. There's a lot of people who are like, this is terrible. Man, I get it all for free for ESPN. I'm like, like, ESPN, notably the reason cable is so inexpensive, right? Like, you're not getting it for free. The reason you pay $120 a month for cable is mostly ESPN.
That's a good point. I've never paid for cable in my life, ever.
Really?
We were cut the cord from the beginning. It was
like they cut the umbilical cord and then you signed up for Hulu, is what you're saying.
That's right. Okay. No, and my wife and I got married, obviously didn't pay for it in college. And when we got married, we weren't, me not being a sports watcher and us not really like caring about TV, the first few years it was all DVDs. It was my seasons of 24 and Smallville that we watched. And then shortly after, we did sign up for Netflix when it was still mailing DVDs. So we did that. And then, it was like when Hulu first came out, it was like TV. Like, you just got all the TV the next day.
Yes, basically that's true.
And so we would watch whatever on Hulu.
Grey's Anatomy, that you could watch.
Well, we didn't watch that, but like The Voice or whatever, and like some whatever shows. But that, it was like Hulu and Netflix, and then we just never paid for cable ever. I've never had a cable box.
Two things. I like that you balked at Grey's Anatomy and then said you watched The Voice. That's just
no, I wasn't balking at Grey's Anatomy. It was like we didn't watch that, but no, I know it's a very popular show.
I also like that there's a bunch of people who listen to this that have no idea. You said something and they're like, "Wait, hold on, what?" Netflix used to mail DVDs.
There's a
contingent of people who have what? That's a thing that actually happened?
That is the thing that happened. You would put them in your mailbox, they would go away, and then they'd come back, and we did Redbox too. It was like $1, and it was always shady where you had to get the red boxes. But anyway, Netflix. All right, the M5 iPad Pro, we got to review it. You got to review a unit as well, like on the day of release, right?
Yeah, they sent it to me a little bit later. What day did it come out? Tuesday or Wednesday?
The official release was Wednesday.
Okay, so I actually did get it on Wednesday. It was supposed to be here Tuesday. Awesome. We're going to talk about that later.
Yes, that is later. But so I have my M5 iPad Pro. Wow, my M5 iPad Pro review is up. It's really good. One of the major differences with the M5 over M4 is the neural accelerators and GPU speeds. And so in my video, I do the test that you can do because, like I say in the video, if you use the ChatGPT app, the Perplexity app, all that's happening in the cloud. You're not actually using your device's processor. And so the use cases I did was transcriptionist, which you can download whatever models you want on the iPad and actually use those, which are on-device LLMs. The Draw Things app, which can generate AI imagery. And also, I forgot the third thing I did. But I did testing like all on-device, and it is significantly faster for those AI tasks, M5 versus M4. Like the largest brain in transcriptionist, when you download, it's like an over 3 gigabyte LLM that you download. It basically had like, not 10 minutes, but it was like 8 to 10 minutes faster than the M4. So it's a faster chip. I also noticed much better cellular connectivity or speeds on the M5, which that iPad Pro has the C1X chip, which is Apple's own cellular chip. It's what's in the iPhone Air. I noticed faster cellular speeds. I also tested Wi-Fi 7, didn't notice huge difference there. But it's a really powerful iPad, and they sent me the nano-texture, and they sent me the 13-inch. And I just have to say, Jason, coming from an 11-inch after the last year, that 13-inch feels like a monolith. Like the first time I sat down with it in the Magic Keyboard, I felt like I was looking straight up to look at the top of the screen. Like it's a big iPad. Aren't you an 11-inch default?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I do have a 13-inch iPad Air M3 in our house. I think I also potentially have an M2 iPad Air. I should send those back. So I'm familiar with the 13-inch size.
Yes.
I mean, the 13-inch is the thinnest product Apple's ever made.
It's thin, and I will say, and I say this in my video, windowing on the 11-inch I did not find compelling. It felt very cramped whenever I tried to have multiple windows up. And which is why I wanted split view back, because I felt like 2 apps taking up as much screen as possible was like the ideal on the 11-inch. On the 13-inch, it feels very different. Like I used windowing a lot over the last week because of the 13-inch. I even got used to Stage Manager. I finally figured out oh, I'll have a stage with Threads, Blue Sky, and Ivory, and I can just go to that stage. It's still weird figuring out how do I switch stages? Because you can swipe over from the left side and tap a stage. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it pulls over the Today View widgets, and I'm not sure why it does that. But you can also tap an app that's in another stage and you'll jump to that stage. But that could be jarring if you want to actually open the app in the stage you're in. And then you have to, so it's not perfect, but I understand windowing a little more. And on the 13-inch, I've been using it more. I do like it.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. This is along the lines of you should only use the voice assistant on your watch. This is a law, I believe, is true. And I also believe this is true on the Mac. We talked about it. I think the only way to use windowing on the iPad is the slightly overlapping cascading windows. There's no other way that is worth it. But when you use it that way, it's fantastic. Because I right now on my iPad, I have an 11-inch. I have 3 windows. I can see enough of each of them to easily be able to click through them.
That's it.
And they each are 85% of the window. So I'm only giving up a little tiny bit. And this is the same thing I'm looking at on a 27-inch studio display right now. I have Notion over here. I have the browser window with Riverside, and I have a bunch of other articles over here, and I can easily click between them. Yes. Anything more than that is there's going to be more friction probably than it's worth.
Correct. So I agree. That's how I'm doing it right now on my Mac. But I also tested faster charging. It does charge faster. You can get 50% in under 30 minutes. I used Apple sent me their dynamic charger. Did you get one of these? The new 40-watt?
So I got one of those with a review unit of the iPhone.
Oh, okay. It's fine. It took about 32 minutes for the iPad Pro to get to 50%. And then I tested my Anker desktop charger, which is 100 watt. And then it did it in 28 minutes.
Yes, that's the important piece here is that Apple, I don't think they intentionally gave this impression, but it was not clear at first. It seemed as though you had to have that charger. Yeah. But that's not true. No, you just have to have a charger that's not a 20-watt Anker brick, right?
60 watt or more to fast charge the new iPad Pro, ideally. And then nano-texture, Jason. We had touched on it, I think, last week because I've not really used Apple products at length with nano-texture. So they sent me the 13-inch nano-texture. Bottom line is I don't prefer it. I get it. Outside, I'm showing videos now if you're watching on YouTube, but it diffuses the light great. If you're sitting by a window or you're working outside, nano-texture makes total sense. I still find the slight loss in contrast, and you really, I'm sure, would only notice it when you're doing side-by-sides like I do in this video, but this moment right here where I show the glossy on the right and the nano-texture on the left, you can see in some of the apps like Reader and Sofa, the blacks are just not as black. You just don't have as deep blacks on the nano-texture as you do on the glossy. And for someone like me who uses the iPad mostly indoors, I do use it in my car sometimes, when my kids are at rehearsal or whatever, but the glares don't bother me. I prefer the trade-off of the glossy with the higher contrast. And you really notice it if you watch a movie. I put Interstellar on, of course, and you could tell even the black bars above and below the movie, they're just not the jet black that you get on the glossy. And so I just don't prefer that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if you go back to that previous one where you're looking at the icons, I'm surprised. Like the starkest thing is like the nano-texture made that orange look purple.
Well, it's not the same wallpaper.
Just kidding. Sorry,
Oh.
Steven.
So,
No, I
did-
think that the nano-texture, I don't prefer it on the iPad Pro either. They didn't send me one. I think the reason it's you have to really need the benefit of the nano-texture, and I'm not 100% sure what that is on an iPad. Right. I don't fully know the scenarios. I mean, even like an iPad is a thing that you could just move to another location if the glare was too bad. So I don't know that nano-texture is the thing that's necessary there. But I think like the iPad Pro has the best display Apple's ever made for anything.
Right. Yeah.
And as soon as you put the nano-texture over it, I'm
That's
like,
good.
I'd rather go back to the other stuff.
Yeah. That I do find it feels slightly different when you're like touching the screen with your finger. Do you notice like it just has a different feel?
I mean, I haven't used a nano-texture one in quite a while. So, because I haven't, when they came out, I was able to use them, but I haven't actually, like, I've never had a review unit of a nano-texture.
There's a different feel, and this is going to sound weird, but I prefer the feeling on my finger of the nano-texture display. I'm not 100% sure if there's actually a huge difference, but it feels closer to paper than glass. Maybe not even. It feels a little closer to paper than glass. I'll say that. And so like the feeling of the Apple Pencil on the nano-texture and my finger on it, I actually do like that, as strange as it sounds, but I don't like looking at it, so it doesn't matter. Because that's what you do mostly. You're looking at the screen. Also with the nano-texture, this went viral on Threads. I did not expect this to. Polishing cloths. So when you get a nano-texture,
I'm glad you found your niche, by the way.
this is my niche now. I guess I'm not polishing cloth. This is the polishing cloth you get with a nano-texture iPad Pro. It is the largest one you can get. And I also got the M5 MacBook Pro with nano-texture. This is the polishing cloth you get with the MacBook Pro. Much smaller, almost like half the size. So these come in the box with the nano-textured devices. See, I didn't know that either. On Mastodon, Tim Chatton, who's the host of the iPad Pros podcast, pointed that out. It's in the little, since I don't do stickers anymore, I never look in that paper thing. Look at that. Yeah, it's there.
It's upside down. Sorry.
So that's the MacBook Pro one that's much smaller. I guess it makes sense. Like they give you the bigger one for the iPad because you touch it more.
This is my favorite part, by the way, of the MacBook Pro right now is this thing, because this is perfect.
Well, okay, and just to one more, if you buy the Apple polishing cloth new, like you buy the $20 polishing cloth from Apple's website, which I lost my first one, so I did, it's a different texture and size. It's a different texture than the other one.
That's different than the one I have, too. Mine's not that texture.
Is that did you buy
one
that bought?
Yeah. I don't know where else it would have come from. I don't think.
You got a lot of devices over there, man. I don't know. It could have been more.
Yeah, but none of them have nano-texture.
But this is the Apple polishing cloth you get when you buy it separately is like a stiffer, like firmer polishing cloth. Like as you could see, like if you're watching, and the ones that come with the nano-texture device, it's a different texture. I actually prefer the ones that come with the nano-texture. And this is supposedly what you're supposed to use to wipe off fingerprints. You're not supposed to use a microfiber cloth. Like I have all these whoosh ones. You're not supposed to use that on the nano-texture or spray stuff on it directly. You're supposed to spray it on the cloth very lightly if there's a smudge you can't get out. But Apple's like, don't. So anyway, I don't want to think that much about cleaning my display either, which is why I think I prefer the glossy.
Yeah, I do have a handful of these around here. I know I've bought at least 2 of them. I don't know if this is one that I bought separately or if this is one that was included with a previous review unit. Interestingly, this one does. Oh, it does have an Apple logo. I was going to say it doesn't have an Apple logo. Maybe this is like an Anchor version. I don't know. No, it's not.
I don't know.
It's an
but
Apple one.
I really like the whoosh cloths and spray for like all my other devices. This is not an ad. I just really I've been using it for years. This is what Apple used before they had their own polishing cloths. Like in the Apple Store, they used whoosh cloths and sprays. But anyway, that's a chapter on polishing cloths. I'll make that a chapter. So you can see, if you're listening, you can see the picture.
I'm glad we had this conversation. What is it? It's in my pocket. Oh.
What's that?
I just was being poked by something in my pocket, and it's a little pen of Steven riding on a polar bear.
Oh, you got the pin.
I did get the pin.
I'm sending more out. I literally bought. This should be.
My wife thinks you're a moron, by the way, when she realized how much it costs, because it says right on the envelope how much it costs to send out the things.
I know. I didn't understand. So I literally bought, so I could send out the rest of the pins that I have, a thermal label printer and labels because it's going to be cheaper to like do it myself and then just drop it off anyway.
Steven had to remortgage his house. By the way,
Just
before we finish the cloth thing, I'm sorry. I just want to throw in a recommendation for these koala cloths. They're probably pretty similar to the Whoosh ones. I love these. One of the things I do actually really like about them is that you can wash them, and you can just wash them with like dish soap in the sink and then just let them dry. So
Pretty cool.
I want to throw those. I am a big fan of these, even more than the Apple ones, only because like these things, like you can just make them real small and throw them in your bag.
Just crumble them up. That's pretty good. All right, it's time to fight, Jason. It's time to fight the M5 MacBook Pro. I didn't call it a review because I spent more time with the iPad than I did with the MacBook Pro, but I would like to read a line from Jason's article, which he claims is not about me. But this is the line. Here's Jason's article. Nice headline photo. Jason is a photographer in a past life.
I'm still okay. Anyway,
I know. Yeah. That's why
I just don't really make money taking photos anymore.
Right. A quote from Jason's article. Quote. You'll probably hear a lot of people tell you that you should wait for the M5 Pro or M5 Max version of the MacBook Pro, but keep in mind that most of those people make YouTube videos for a living. That is a subtweet.
Why is that a subtweet?
Because I mentioned that in my video.
Sure. Which you made independent of me making an article.
Yeah.
And it is true that I saw your video before you published.
That's right. Yes.
But I told you I had already written my article, though. That line was in there. That line was in there because I anticipated. I knew what the argument was going to be from everyone. I could just hear it. Turns out I was right. I could just hear it.
Okay. Here's my opening statement for this the great M5 MacBook Pro debate. This is going to be a very different conversation when the MacBook Air gets updated with M5, and there's not a choice on processor or buying like the older version of the M whatever. When you have an M5 MacBook Air and you have an M5 MacBook Pro, and that's the choice for most people, I think most people should go Air. That's my opening statement. What is your opening statement?
Okay, well, first of all, that's not the case at this point. So my article was written based on the way facts are. I know,
but like it could be next month.
I know, but well, it won't be. It'll be the spring. It'll probably be March or April. But
sure.
My point is, you can't think that my position based on a different set of facts and circumstances and assumptions is a response to your different set of assumptions and facts and whatever. If you're making the comment that the M5 MacBook Pro will be a different conversation when the M5 MacBook Air, fine. Maybe that's true. But right now that's not the case. And so what I'm saying is, in my thing didn't say anything about waiting for the MacBook Air. What I was saying is you're going to hear a lot of people, and they're going to tell you that you should just wait for the M5 Pro or the M5 Max. And what I'm saying is those people who are saying that, and literally you have to understand, there's like an important turn of phrase there. You're going to hear a lot of people say this. Obviously, you're watching
Stephen Robles.
No. Obviously, you're watching a YouTube video or probably listening to a podcast. But if that's the case, it's important to understand that those are podcasters or YouTube. I didn't say anything about podcasters, but they're people who are making YouTube videos who have a different set of needs than you, the person who's reading my review. And for the person who's reading my review, if you are deciding between an M4 MacBook Air and an M5 MacBook Pro, you probably should still buy the M4 MacBook Air. Like, I'd say that right in here. What I am saying is, when you spec them the same, there's only a $400 difference. And $400, I say this right in my article, is more than $0. It's a lot more dollars.
Yeah, but the price is not the only difference. Like, even with equal specs, the hardware is very different.
That's my point. For $400, you get an infinitely better screen. You get 2x the SSD speed, and you get much better memory bandwidth.
Okay.
And you get the neural accelerators that you just told us are a huge bonus.
Describe the person, like what they do and what they do on their computer, that you would say the M5 MacBook Pro is right for them.
I bet you the base model MacBook Pro is the second best-selling Mac that exists.
But who is the person? Like, describe the person. Like, that you would be talking to, and you would say you should get the M5 MacBook Pro.
Well, that isn't what I said.
I know, but I'm asking you now, like, because you're saying it's a great deal.
I said it's the most underrated Mac. And the reason I say it's super underrated is that everybody overlooks it. And when, in fact, if you're trying to decide between a MacBook Air and a MacBook Pro, for $400, I think the display alone, by the way, is worth $400.
Okay, well, since you're dodging the question, Your Honor, objection. Sustained.
You're assuming facts, not in evidence, sir.
No, I was asking how you envision it, because I will answer my own question. for the person where that $400 difference, where they are willing to trade off the thinness and lightness of the Air for the display. And I would give the speakers like the second best upgrade there.
Absolutely. And the 33% better battery life.
And the battery life. The person who cares enough to trade the weight for the quality of display and speakers is likely someone who is not just web browsing on their device. Because if mostly of what you're doing is Word document stuff, browsing the web, and paying your bills, I don't think you actually care that much about the display because you're not watching HDR content. You're not taking advantage of the ProMotion display. You're probably not even listening to stuff using those speakers. But I would say alternatively, if a person cares that much about the display and about the speakers and about the SSD speed, they're probably doing something like editing video or just a prosumer type user or a photographer who cares about that display, that maybe they should also consider the Pro and Max rather than just the base M5. And I said in my video, there is a very small sliver of people, like the hobbyist photographer who just does it periodically, that maybe the M5 is perfect for them because it has a built-in SD card slot. Unlike the Air, it has that better display, but they don't do it enough where the lack of a Pro or Max chip would even affect them. Like they wouldn't even notice. Like hobbyist photographer and maybe like hobbyist video editor, but like very lightly. And I think anytime you go above that range or below that range, the MacBook Air is a better choice, even the M4 right now, or an M5 Pro or Max is a better choice. And that's why I was asking you to describe that person, because I just think it's a very narrow sliver of people. The M5 MacBook Pro is a great machine, but the fact for it to be the best machine for a person, I think it's a very narrow range.
See, I would argue the opposite is true. I believe that the M4 Pro and the M4 Max is the narrowest sliver of people who should actually that exist to buy it. The hobbyist photographer, the professional photographer, if you're a pro photographer, just buy the base M5 MacBook Pro. 100%. You don't need, what do you need? If you're editing photos in Lightroom, what do you need extra?
If you are running Lightroom denoise on thousands of photos because you're a professional wedding photographer, like that extra speed means you're not sitting around waiting.
First of all, you shouldn't have to run denoise on hundreds of photos. Like I run it on maybe...
Or just applying effects, like or like copy and pasting the adjustments that you're making across 1,000 photos. Like
I hard disagree. I think that for most of those people, the M5 is fine. The $400 you have to pay to upgrade that is not worth it for them. Especially like $400 is a lens.
You think the $400 is worth it from the Air to the Pro, but not from the M5 to the M5 Pro? Like you're saying,
because now you're in a $2,000 machine. I think the difference between $1,200 and $1,600 is a lot different than $1,600 and $2,000. And I think that here's what I'm really saying. This is the problem for people like us who spend a lot of our time playing with new gadgets and reviewing tech. It is hard to imagine that most people don't have the same incentives as we do. And I actually talked to a bunch of people. I talked to a professional graphic designer who I work with a lot. His MacBook Pro, I'm not actually sure. It's a M something Pro. I don't remember which. I think it's an M3. It might be an M2 actually, and it only has 16 gigs of memory. And he's like, I'm never gonna I'll update this when the battery dies, because most people, the category of people who actually need the M4 Pro or the M4 Max, and at some point the M5 Pro and the M5 Max is like, it's a super tiny. So here's who should buy the M5 MacBook Pro. And to be clear, my article makes it clear most people should just buy the MacBook Air. Like literally, actually, you know what? Go find a refurbished, not a renewed from Amazon, a refurbished right. M2. You will be thrilled. An M1, I don't think you can get refurbished M1s anymore, or I would have. You have to buy them on Amazon, and they suck. I mean, they don't, but Amazon sucks.
Yeah.
Anyway, you should just probably buy the MacBook Air. But if you are someone who's like, I just want to have a computer that's future-proof, I want to put all my photos on it because I have tons of photos of my kids and grandkids. I don't plug it into an external display. It's going to be sitting on my home, which most people who buy laptops never take them anywhere. They just sit at home.
Right.
The MacBook Pro is so underrated. That's my point. Not that everyone should buy it. I think it is super underrated.
I think the point that you make, that people keep their laptops for a very long time, lends itself to my point that if they are a graphic designer and this is their only computer and they're going to keep it for 5 to 10 years, that maybe the Pro, not even the Max. Like I think the M4 Max and whenever it comes the M5 Max is a very, very tiny sliver. And like if you buy that, you should really know why you're buying that. But the Pro version of these chips, I think it would serve people better long term who are the kind of person you're talking about, like the graphic designer or whatever. Like the M5 MacBook Pro, if you and again, this is the weird part, like to your point, we have the luxury of having 1,000 devices around us. And like
too many devices. I'm looking at 7 screens right now.
And the fact that I have an M4 Mac Studio on my desk kind of disqualifies me for being able to like relate to like what can you do like if you just have one computer. But if you told me you can't have any, like, you can only have one computer, you can only have one Mac, I personally would probably get the M5 MacBook Pro because I care enough about the display. Now, it's ironic because the studio display that I look at all the time is 60 hertz refresh rate, doesn't have ProMotion, and it's not XDR. And so, but if I only had one laptop, yeah, even the brightness on the display of the M5 MacBook Pro is worth it, especially if you work outside. Because there are many times I have my MacBook Air out on the patio and I crank that brightness all the way up and it's still not bright enough. So like the brightness alone, if I just had to have that one Mac. But again, I mean, I would want the Pro at least. I used an M3 Pro for a while. And I just think anybody looking at the Pro, I don't know. I think you really have to be attuned to the quality of the display and really want that and not care about speed or power for your workflows to consider the M5. That's my point. And I think it's a small sliver.
So I just ran denoise on this M4 Pro Mac Mini that we're using right now. So we're doing a bunch of other things.
Wait, you did that while we were recording?
I just literally did it. Yep.
That's why your video froze a second ago. While you were like mid-argument, your video like chugged.
No, I didn't do it till you were talking.
Oh, okay, very good.
And then I ran it on the M5. And just to be clear, the M5 MacBook Pro that I'm using, I store the photos on an external hard drive, which is not plugged in, which means I had to download it from the cloud because Lightroom stores everything in the cloud. I'm using the Lightroom, not the Classic, for this particular test because the denoise that's amazing is in this Lightroom Creative Cloud or whatever. It took less time on the M5 MacBook Pro to download the photo and run denoise than it did on my M4 Pro Mac Mini. And it was already stored locally.
But how many photos?
You can only denoise one at a time.
You can't apply that to like a bunch of photos?
You can't do it to a bunch of them. But it took less time to download it and to run the denoise than it did on the M4 Pro. So I think there's a pretty good chance that if I did 50 of them, now it might have taken longer to download 50 of the photos than it would have been to run the denoise. So I just think what I think is, my only point in that statement was, consider that the people who make that argument have very different needs than you do, person who's reading my article. And you and I have different audiences. We have very different audiences who are coming to your YouTube video. So I don't think that your recommendation is wrong. And in fact, I said that. I said this is no shade against those people. Just they have different needs than you do.
I felt the shade.
So for most people who just want a great laptop that will last a long time, maybe I should have tweaked it. This is what I would say. If you're willing to spend $2,000, you should buy the M5 version and upgrade either the RAM. It's not RAM anymore. The memory or the hard drive even. That's a better investment of $400. You could upgrade to 24 gigs and a terabyte of storage for the same price is bumping up to the M4 Pro right now. And that's a way, way more significant upgrade for most people.
Well, and I guess I made that choice to spend more on the specs of the computer than the price of the base computer because I got an M4 MacBook Air that's maxed out. And I think part of what is coloring my opinion is after using the MacBook Air for the last year, I never wanted a laptop heavier than that.
I agree, but most people don't carry their laptop around. In fact, I know, because I did this. I talked to some people who I know who have asked me in the past, like, what should I get? And they got a MacBook Air. And I've asked them, like, what do you do with it? And where do you do that mostly? And most people are like, it sits on my desk. It's like, it sits on my desk. And that's fine. And I'm like, if that's the case, the MacBook Pro is actually perfect for you because it is, I mean, let's be honest, the MacBook Pro in a lot of ways is a desktop class computer with a better display than most people will ever have unless you have an iPad Pro. It's like the second best display Apple makes. I guess arguably the iPhone display is technically better. It's just a lot smaller.
It's a lot smaller.
Right? It is an OLED display. But that tandem OLED on the iPad Pro, like, amazing. Like, it blows everything else away. But the MacBook Pro display is incredible, and compared to a MacBook Air or a Studio display or even a Pro Display XDR, the MacBook Pro is way better. The speakers are super better. And again, for the things that people will notice, having twice as fast SSD speeds and much faster memory bandwidth, that's actually probably why this was faster, is memory bandwidth.
That's true.
And the SSD speed, right? It had to download it and run it off of that. So, like, I just think that those types of things, again, my argument wasn't that more people should buy it. My point was that it's super underrated and that you shouldn't overlook it. And that when people tell you to wait for something better, like the Pro and the Max chips, just remember that what those people do for a living is make YouTube videos, which means they actually really do benefit from it. But I don't think photographers will necessarily benefit from it. I think more RAM or more memory would benefit a photographer far more than going from the base chip to the Pro.
That's true. Well, listen, I'm glad we can agree that I'm right. And I think that's what I got from this conversation.
I'm glad that that's what you got. I love you too much to argue with you. That's what my wife tells her preschoolers.
Wow. And I've just now been ruined because I never had a MacBook Air until this M4 that I got earlier this year, and using that, and I've taken it a lot of places over the last 6 or 8 months, and the moment I took this MacBook Pro out of the box, I was like, oof.
Yeah, no, you're right. And by the way, this M4 Pro Mac Mini I'm using has 48 gigs of memory. The MacBook Pro that they sent me only has 16, and it still did that faster.
Right. It's a powerful machine, and I struggled to review it as I am struggling to talk about it now because, like, there's so many amazing things about it, and, like, the real issue is you really can't go wrong buying a new Mac right now. Like, whatever Mac you get, unless you just get a 256 SSD, which I still would not recommend. Like, that's the worst decision you can make. Otherwise, anything from a base Mac Mini to the top of the line Mac Studio, like MacBook Pro, like, you might end up getting too much computer for your needs, but you're not going to end up with something that is not going to work for you. Like, it's great. And that's the thing. Like, I had a lot of people in the comments of my videos too being like, I'm on an M1 Pro and I still love it. So, and because, like, once they updated the MacBook Pro to actually have the good ports, everybody was happy. And so it's like, if you got an M1 Pro with this newer design from 4 years ago, people are like, yeah, it's great. I mean, John Gruber, Patrick Tomaso, who's on social media, he's also a YouTube channel. He's like, yeah, I'm still rocking an M1 Pro MacBook Pro, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's like,
my wife is rocking an M1 MacBook Air.
Yeah.
With 16 gigs of memory, because that was the most you could put in it at the time.
Right,
and a 1 terabyte hard drive. I don't know if that's the most probably you could have gotten to. The point is, I tried to upgrade her so I could hand that laptop down, and she's like, you better walk away right now. Like, I never want a different computer. This is perfect. It's so fast. She loves it. Until the display stops working or something like that happens, she's just going to be super happy with that forever. That's great for my daughter, because what that means is when she goes off to college, she's probably going to get an M5 MacBook Air. She'll be thrilled, and she's going to keep it for 15 years.
Right. All right. The last thing I'll say, I bought my wife a MacBook Air a few months ago, and I was on the fence between the M4 and the M2 refurbished from Apple. And I ended up going with the M2 so I could get more storage and stuff. And I kind of felt bad. I was like, man, maybe I should have gotten the M4. And then, like, seeing her use it, and, like, she's doing some number spreadsheets. She's watching stuff on the web. And I'm like, yeah, I think the M2 was probably fine. Like,
yeah.
That's totally good.
Well, and what I would tell most people that are right now are like, I need a computer. I'm looking at getting a computer. I have an Intel MacBook Air, whatever. I have an M1 MacBook Air. Yeah. I would be like, listen, if you need one right now, either buy something refurbished if you're cool with that, or buy the M4 Air. It's incredible. If you're like, you can afford to wait or you have more money, I would say, like, if you have the time, like, wait for the M5 MacBook Air or buy the M5 MacBook Pro. That's what I would say to most people.
Oh yeah, I would say wait for the M5 MacBook Air. I just love the Air. The other thing too
great.
is now that I have the M5 iPad Pro for a little while, we'll see how long. I gave my M4 iPad Pro, or extended loan, to my oldest son, who was still on the 9th gen iPad. Like, base model.
The last one that didn't have flat sides, right?
Correct. It still had a home button.
Yeah.
Yeah, home button or whatever. And don't feel bad for him. He's got an iPhone 16 Pro. Like, nobody feel bad for him out there. So, like, he was upgrading the phones in the meantime. But going from that iPad to my M4 iPad Pro, and he does, like, use Logic because he's trying to make some music. He was like, oh, this thing's way faster. I was like, yeah,
Man.
you'll notice a big difference there.
Think about how fast you could mine in Minecraft with that.
Well, yeah, he doesn't do that kind of stuff, but he notices the logic difference. Anyway, let us know who won this debate. I think I know who it is, but let us know. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Let us know who won this debate, or email us or something. And we still got to talk about the M5 Vision Pro. OpenAI released Atlas, their AI browser. A lot of stuff to talk about. But before we do, I want to thank our friends at Clean My Mac from MacPaw. We're just talking about Mac, and so now it's a perfect time to clean that Mac. Clean My Mac is one of the great apps for the Mac. Help you clean out, reclaim some space. That mysterious system data in your storage that you don't know what it is. You can't get to it. You're not even sure what it is. Well, Clean My Mac can help. And not only can it help with that local storage, helping you free up your space, but now Clean My Mac can actually help you with some of your cloud storage as well. iCloud Drive can be sneaky because, it downloads some files in the background, and all you can tell it is optimize storage. You can't tell it like, get this folder off my computer or undownload these files. Like, you can't do that, but Clean My Mac can help with all of that. So you can have cloud cleanup. It'll look through your iCloud, your OneDrive, your Google Drive, help you do that. It'll help you declutter. If you want to delete an app that you didn't download from the App Store and you want to make sure all those little files get out of your library support and application support folders, it can help with that. It can also help with messages now. If you have a bunch of messages with huge attachments, sometimes that happens, then Clean My Mac can help with that. And there you go. You also see the uninstall apps without leaving a trace. That's one of my favorite features of Clean My Mac because, you install apps, you install utilities, and you want to get it off. And it can be a challenge sometimes. So Clean My Mac helps with all of that. So here's what you do. If you want to try Clean My Mac, you go to clnmy.com, short for Clean My, clnmy.com/primary technology. You can get tidy today. Try 7 days for free. Use it for free. Clean your Mac over those 7 days, but then use promo code PrimaryTech for 20% off at that link, clnmy.com, cleanmy.com/primary technology. That link will be in the show notes with our promo code for 20% off. Our thanks to Clean My Mac for sponsoring the episode and the folks at the Interconnected podcast. We've talked about them before. They're talking about AI, how it intersects with healthcare. It's both a video and audio show. And so if you've ever wondered how the digital world really connects behind the scenes, you're not alone. That's what the new podcast Interconnected is all about by Equinix, and explores the hidden infrastructure behind our connected future. The hosts bring tech leaders, industry experts, innovators together in candid conversations to break down and discuss the future of global connectivity. And the third episode of Interconnected covers the digital infrastructure for a food-secure world. You'll hear about how farmers are moving from 20th century operations to AI and machine learning that analyzes soil, weather, crop data to tackle 21st century tasks. I've listened to a couple episodes. It sounds great, excellent production, and they have super interesting guests who are experts in their field. And it's, again, really fascinating stuff. So you have to check it out. The hosts of Interconnected, they do a great job of translating complex tech topics so they are easy to understand, and discover the digital infrastructure powering today's biggest tech trends with Interconnected. You can follow Interconnected on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our thanks to Interconnected for sponsoring this episode. Jason, you mind holding up your M5 Apple Vision Pro? You mind holding that up?
I mean, I could hold up the one I have. It looks the same, but
Did you order the dual knit band? No, you didn't?
The Belkin one is fine.
Yeah, the Belkin one's fine.
It's totally fine. Like, there's no, and again, I say this as someone who uses the Vision Pro a lot.
Use it a lot.
Yes. Then the other one's better. Is it $99 better? To me, no, because I'm fine with what I have. What's interesting to me is all the people buying it thinking, this will finally make me use the Vision Pro. No, it won't.
This will fix me.
Yes.
So I watched MKBHD had a video about the Vision Pro. I really enjoyed Farouk, the YouTube channel iPhondo. His intros are always beautiful. It's very cinematic. He uses the Apple Vision Pro all the time, and so he talked about it very candidly in his video. I'll link it below. But he said the M5, that's the only update, is the M5 over the M4. that when it comes to certain tasks, even things like startup, and sometimes it takes a while to connect to Wi-Fi, which I experience, like it takes a minute for mine to be like, oh, there's internet here. The M5 does that faster, Farouk was saying. It also does better at like loading widgets, which is something you can do in visionOS 26, like put widgets around the room and they stay permanently in place even upon restart and shutdown. And he and many people said that weight difference that we talked about last week is because of the dual knit band. There are tungsten metal in the back of the band to help as a counterweight for the Vision Pro. And Farouk actually does the weighing here and shows it with the band. But he says it actually helps with the balance. And his wife, who was uncomfortable in the first Apple Vision Pro and it didn't sit right, the tungsten weight and that new dual knit band actually works better and she can use it and she enjoys it. So Jason, for a split second, I was like, wait a minute. Will it connecting to Wi-Fi faster actually help me use it more? Would I actually use my Apple Vision Pro more if I don't have to wait as long for it? And then I looked over and I saw a light covering of dust on my Apple Vision Pro case.
That's so sad.
I said, no, that's okay. Actually, there's not dust because I pulled it out to updated to visionOS 26 a couple weeks ago. So, lighter dust. But honestly, this would have been a deciding factor for me. And it was unknown at first, but Apple has now confirmed that there will be no trade-ins for Apple Vision Pro or any new model or any other device. So you cannot trade in Apple Vision Pro to Apple. And people like Quinn Nelson at Snazzy Labs is like posting screenshots of eBay. And there are Apple Vision Pros on eBay for like $1,500. And so, one, if you wanted to try one, get an original for like $1,000, like lowball them. You might get a Vision Pro for $1,000. But B, resale value is not great. And so, A, that's probably why Apple's like, nah, you keep those original ones.
Yeah.
we don't want any of them.
I mean, I don't know what the philosophy of it is, but like we also haven't had an entirely new product category for a while. So we don't I don't know, like, could you trade in a first gen Apple Watch for a second one? Could you trade in I don't think they had it for first gen iPhone. Like, I don't know what calculation goes into whether or not you can, and people are like mad, but I also don't think Apple assumes anyone with an M2 is going to upgrade. Like, why are you trading it in for an M5?
I mean, if there was enough of a trade-in value, I would have done it just to do it. But
again, you're going to hear a lot of people who make YouTube videos talking about. It's like
no one should get it. I'm totally there.
No one who is thinking about buying an M5 but already has an M2. You should just close the browser window and go out, touch grass, do something else. Like, it'll be fine. Like, this is for people who don't have them. Really, this is for, like, the story of the Vision Pro is either entertainment or enterprise, right? And so this is basically just Apple saying you can continue buying these things because we've at least updated it to the most current processor.
Yeah.
And it'll be fine. You don't have to worry about the 3-year-old chip being 7 years old or whatever. Like, it'll be totally fine. So, But about the band, I'm trying to find it in the transcript, but I'm 100% sure that this is what I said, that this has got to be the difference in the weight, right? Is the band. We didn't know at the time that they'd literally stuck tungsten bullets in there or whatever, but like, I'm 100% sure that that's what I said.
Yeah.
The difference, 150 grams of difference, which is about a third of a pound, is because of the different strap.
Yeah. And Farouk said he actually prefers the feeling of the original Solo Knit because he would like lay down with it. And now the new dual knit band, you feel the tungsten pegs or whatever, like when you lean back on it. So he doesn't prefer that, but it's a trade-off for the balance. Hey, bottom line, face computer, hard problem to solve. And this was MKBHD's video. It was basically like every company has approached this from one direction or the other, either the full face computer in VR, trying to move it closer to AR, or the Meta Ray-Ban style. All it is the camera and the lens, and Meta's trying to move that closer to AR with the new Meta Ray-Ban display and stuff. And it seems like that side of the argument is winning out as far as popularity and the people that actually use this stuff. Although Samsung did just give a preview or early launch for its Mohan, like Apple Vision Pro ripoff. Like, it literally looks like an Apple Vision Pro ripoff. And there's some early reviews of that. But I think bottom line, like, people are not... This is not going to be a mass market device. Face computer is not a mass market device just yet.
No, it's not a mass market by any means. The largest market for this is probably enterprise or really wealthy people who want to watch movies but don't like their family. I mean, like, what else? What other reason would you want? Like, is if you could afford a Vision Pro, you could afford a pretty nice television.
I thought you were going to say you could afford a pretty nice family.
Well, I was going to say you can afford a pretty nice television. The problem of having a pretty nice television is apparently other people will come in the room and watch with you, and if you don't want them to, you just put the thing on your face.
Oh, that's what I watched the Vision Pro. I charged it up and put it on because there was a MotoGP immersive video. Did you watch that at all?
No, see, I don't actually use it for entertainment.
You use it every day, but never watch the content made for the device.
No, I use it for the mirroring of my Mac, right? Yeah. I use that all the time. And then
which Mac? Which Mac are you mirroring in there?
Well, right now, the MacBook Pro.
Yeah, but wait, before you got that review unit.
MacBook Air.
That's right.
I don't understand.
I don't know. I felt like I won an argument there. I was just taking a victory lap.
Because I've one time touched a MacBook Air. No. Just to be clear, my argument is you should just buy a MacBook Air.
I know. Every time you touch a MacBook Air, I get a point. That's I make the rules. that's the rule.
It's sitting right over there. I'm gonna throw it on the floor in a minute.
Anyway, I watched the MotoGP immersive thing, which is fun. Like anytime there's immersive content, it's fun to watch. Like it's good stuff. But one comes out every other month, and then they make an announcement about all the things coming out. But I am curious about the live basketball game. So listen, someone in Los Angeles, I will pay for your Spectrum subscription. No, I won't. That's not true. I'm not going to do that. But I mean,
even like YouTube TV and Hulu. Here's the reason I don't think. Sorry, we don't have to go. This will just be quick. I promise. Yeah. The reason I don't think your idea is going to work is even YouTube TV and Hulu Live TV, even when you're using a VPN, it just knows. And I think it just knows because of other signals. I don't understand like how that works, but like I have tried to watch either YouTube TV or Hulu Live TV on like an iPad when I'm traveling somewhere, and it will instantly say, it'll ask you, do you live here or are you just visiting? Right. And if you say you live there, you have to change your permanent address to that. And if you try to do that too many times, you got a lot.
Hulu is super aggressive because even like, so there's an Apple TV in my father-in-law's like family room, and then there's another Apple TV in like a living room, and he tried to like watch Hulu Live TV on the Apple TV that he doesn't usually watch on, and even then it asked him, do you want to move your Hulu Live TV to this TV? And it's like, this is literally the same house, but because it's a different device, it was like, it was being real ornery about that. All right, we should talk about OpenAI because they literally released their AI browser. This is big news. This has been rumored for a long time. It's called ChatGPT Atlas. It's available for Mac right now, not Windows yet, coming soon. If you have a ChatGPT Plus or Pro subscription, you get like the agentic type features and things like that. Did you download it, Jason?
I literally downloaded it as you were talking. I'll tell you what I think in just a minute. I'm gonna switch over the Riverside recording to ChatGPT Atlas.
I do not record in AI browsers. I'll tell you that. I already did a video on it though. You can just watch my video on it. So I did a head-to-head OpenAI versus Perplexity's Comet because I did a video on Comet when that came out, and that kind of blew up. And so I want to do this. I will say I like the design better of ChatGPT Atlas. I think overall OpenAI has a nice design aesthetic. I don't know if it's, what's his face, Johnny Ive over there. I don't know if he spoke into this web browser design.
He spoke into it, and it came into existence. It's very biblical.
Yeah, ex nihilo created this web browser. And so I do like the design better. When it comes to a lot of the agentic tasks, I found Comet to just do it sometimes better, yes. But every time in the Atlas browser you want it to do something agentic, like basically click around a website for you, you have to choose agent mode first. It doesn't like assume you want that. And if you don't click agent mode, it'll basically just give you a ChatGPT response about the website you're looking at. Whereas Comet assumes you want agentic action and will just start using whatever website you're on when you ask it something. So for my uses, I found Comet to be more useful. And also I literally do one thing every day in Comet, which is when I publish Primary Tech Daily, I have to sit around and wait for Apple Podcasts to process the MP3 file before I can hit publish. I can't just tell it to finish or publish when it's finished processing. So all I ask Comet to do is refresh this page every 60 seconds for 30 minutes, and once that little button turns purple, click it. Comet could do it every time, Often I will leave the office, sometimes leave the house because I'm picking up my kids or whatever, and it will just do it. And ChatGPT's Atlas is like, I don't think I can refresh this page. And it literally, in some of its responses, Atlas was like, there's some great utilities that can refresh a page for you. You should download some of those. And it's like, the refreshing the page is one thing. I need you to click this button when it's ready. And so I just need you to watch for it. And ChatGPT Atlas would not do it. And so that main use case that I do every day automatically made me think, okay, well, I'm going to stay on Comet until it can change. Now, OpenAI came out yesterday and they announced a bunch of changes and fixes they're going to bring, a 1Password fix. iCloud password extension doesn't work very well in both browsers, Comet and Atlas, so that's unfortunate. And there's a bunch of other things that they're going to tweak about it. So it's out there. You could download it. It's free to download and try. And if you have a Plus or Pro subscription, you could do the agentic stuff. I've found Comet more useful overall, but it can still do a lot of the same things, like find promo codes for you. You can ask it, show me a YouTube video with Steve Jobs saying the intersection of liberal arts and technology. And it will go to the YouTube video and it will tell you the timestamp. I found Comet would actually go to the timestamp and start playing it there, whereas the Atlas OpenAI's browser would go to the video and then tell you the timestamp, and then you would have to scrub there manually. So again, just little differences like that there. Comet, I think, is a little more polished, and it's been out longer, but that's my
Man, you have to click through a lot of things to start using this browser.
It is a long setup process.
Wow. And it just pins at the bottom, set as default browser, which, by the way, I stinking hate that every browser you ever open thinks I should be the default. Like, make me the default. And in fact, I wish I wouldn't have clicked through so fast. I may actually have to install this on a different computer just to screenshot it. Listen, but the thing it says is you get better access, you get higher access limits if you make it your default browser.
Yes.
That is just wow.
That is the first time I've seen it. So what happens is, one,
we will reward you if you do this.
Yes, they incentivize you to set it as your default browser by giving you more tokens for agentic use, I think, or something. And so they are incentivizing you to make it your default browser. I'm curious, if you set it as default and then switch it right after, will it still like keep whatever tokens it's giving you?
I don't know, but I mean, listen, I want to say something about the agentic browser things, because I don't know, like, this to me, there are use cases, but this to me is like self-driving cars. I feel like the people designing self-driving cars don't actually drive cars, because the thing is, a lot of people actually like driving cars. Like, if you're trying to make a self-driving $100,000 car, if you bought a $100,000 car, I feel like you should really like driving that car. You should enjoy it. It should be an experience. Now, driving it in traffic in Chicago, not a great experience. So the self-driving part can come in handy or whatever. But the self-driving browser thing, like, do people hate shopping online that much that they want a browser to do it for them? Now, I understand in your case, the example you use where you just have to... Wouldn't it be better if all of this brain power just made that experience better for you? Like, Apple could fix that. 100% Apple could fix that, and it does not require the foundation of a company 15 years ago that's going to solve humanity's problems with AGI, eventually releasing a browser that can click on buttons for you because Apple just couldn't bother to make the podcast interface better.
Yeah. But, okay, well, here's my counter argument.
Before you make it, I'll remind you're still waiting on the burger.
I'm not defending the Rabbit at all. I couldn't even update it to the latest Rabbit. I don't know if I talked about it on the show, but I tried updating it to the latest.
Whether it's the Rabbit or not, that's where we're at. It's like it'll do the stuff except for deliver the burger.
But I will say this, with both Comet and the new Atlas, if you give it a task, the fact that it can do it in the background, and all you have to do is leave that tab open in the background, does mean you can accomplish multiple things faster and more than you could on your own. So if you wanted to find an Airbnb for this weekend in Atlanta, Georgia, with these qualifications, I can ask Atlas to do that on the Airbnb website, and it will click around and use the website while I can be in another tab doing something else. And so that level of multitasking, I think, can be useful. I don't know how many people are looking for something on Overstock and trying to book an Airbnb and trying to click the publish button in Apple Podcasts, but it could do it. And so that kind of like multiplying your efforts, I think, could be valuable depending on some use cases. They're going to do more integrations for like spreadsheets and Google Sheets. So if you're in that world a lot and you can just ask the agent to like make a spreadsheet with this data and these formulas, could be useful, but I don't know.
Okay, two things. One, the Airbnb thing. isn't it enjoyable trying to find one? Like, don't you want to be a part of that process? And
Somewhat.
this is how you know it's not going to work. Because eventually every company is going to shut this down because you're not going to do your spreadsheets anymore. You're just going to have a browser doing it, and they're going to realize they're paying you. Because all software that companies use is just in the browser. And how long is it going to take before no one is actually doing any work? All these AI browsers are just out there spreadsheeting and spreadsheet software, right? They're just doing the thing. And people are like just sitting back watching Drive to Survive in their Vision Pro. Like,
that's not
going to happen. I get it.
Pro.
But still. Also, there's no Netflix app in the Vision Pro either.
Still not. Or YouTube. Still no Netflix or YouTube. We don't have time to talk about AI slop again on this, but I did find one of the Amazon items that I had mentioned on a previous show. Let me make sure my address is not here. This is an Amazon
Gosh, I'm going to cry.
No. You have to see this. All right. So just the AI slop. This is an Amazon item. Type to Siri. Stop it. This is an Amazon item for a toy robotic dog or whatever. And it is a #1 new release. This is a very popular item. And if you scroll through these photos, completely AI generated photos. This is a man supposedly hand building this dog on a workbench. If you know, like, it's 100% AI generated. Everything, like 90% of the pictures here, like that's an AI generated photo.
You got to send this to me, Steven. I'm writing about this today. This makes me so disgusted.
Look at the AI generated image. Here's the thing, and here's what happens.
Is the dog even real? If you ordered that right now, would it show up at your house?
So here's the thing. My daughter's friend bought this dog and got it. It's a horrible product. It is a real product. You get it. It doesn't do any of the things that it shows in these videos because the video of the dog is also mostly AI generated. But my daughter wanted it because her friend got it. And so she knew the exact name to look it up, and we looked it up, and I told her, I was like, baby, this is AI generated. This is a terrible product. It cost $20. And the thing is, like, this product has existed before with ratings, and I imagine what happens is a bunch of people buy it, figure out it's garbage.
The ratings bomb it.
Yep. The ratings bomb it, and then whatever company, whoever's doing this will just shut down that Amazon seller account or just that item, and then just create a new one, because this one's saying a #1 new release. This is not a new release. Like, me and my daughter looked at this months ago. And so all they're doing is just repeatedly listing the same thing with the same AI-generated images, probably getting a bunch of orders right away because it's Amazon is saying #1 new release. Like, it's part of the thing. And it's all AI. It's literally AI slop, but a product that people buy. And I see this more and more. I see it on Facebook sometimes. But the fact that it's on Amazon, such obviously AI generated, and the videos too. Some of the products have videos. Those are also, like, this blows my mind. And it's not great. This is not good. Anyway.
Yeah, I took a screenshot of my entire screen right now with you holding it up, so I'll remember later, because this is just, it's just.
No, I'll send you the link.
It's insane.
It's insane. And
when you say the company, there's not, it's just like a guy in like Belarus or
just doing whatever
somewhere, and it's like,
yeah, absolutely,
with a ChatGPT Pro subscription, or not even Pro, just like Plus or whatever it is, like just generating this.
They just generated it once because it's just it's literally the same listing, and the problem is, if you go to the reviews of it, there are 5-star reviews, but as anyone should know, you can just game that for a while. You can game the Amazon reviews for a while, and you'll see 5-star ratings and reviews. And there was one review that was like, 1 star, this product is garbage. It's not what's in the photos and videos. But that person gets buried initially because the person's just putting a bunch of like paid reviews or whatever above it. And this is the future. Hank Green keeps sharing like AI slop videos on TikTok that have literally millions of views, and people in the comments, like, it's rage bait. And it's people in the comments taking these strong stances on these videos that aren't even real. And he makes a good argument to be like, this is not good, because people are having real emotions about things that are fake, but they think actually happened. And that's like affecting how you think about other people. Like, just
also, they're
humans.
They're ripping off advertisers. I mean, maybe they're not, because if the ads are actually being shown to actual eyeballs, then the advertisers got what they wanted, which is the eyeballs.
That's the thing. And like, TikTok only just cares about your views and like, are you spending time on the platform? And so if AI generated videos, and you can literally see in the AI generated videos where the Sora watermark is, because it's slightly blurry. and they used AI to like remove the watermark. And I was literally showing my wife last night a video. I was like, do you see how it's blurry on her jacket right here? And then you see how it's blurry up here in the top left corner? That's the Sora watermark that they removed with AI. And I'm like, and it's hundreds of videos and they all have millions of views. And I'm like, this is not good. Anyway, didn't mean to crash out on that again, but I just feel like, we gotta.
That's okay. We're going to have some more AI rage.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's pretend this is a lightning round, even though it's never lightning. Speaking of apps and things that shouldn't be in the App Store, I guess the T app. Apple finally removed the T app and T on Her from the App Store because of privacy and data breaches. We talked about this a few months ago. The app was still in the App Store, still with lots of users, even though it's like leaking images and conversations and content that minors uploaded to the app then leaked, and so now it's finally out of the App Store. Probably a good idea. Like, I don't know why it stayed in there that long, but anyway.
Yeah.
That's
I don't have anything to say about this. We can move on.
Okay, great. Also, Meta is kicking ChatGPT out of WhatsApp. So up until now, you could actually communicate to ChatGPT from WhatsApp just by texting a number. I think it was like 1-800-ChatGPT.
I've done it. I don't know if it was that or not, but I did it. Like when they first rolled this out, I tested it.
Yeah, and you can just do it. Well, Meta's closing that down come January. Yeah, it's 1-800-ChatGPT. And so they're shutting it down, basically cutting off ChatGPT to 50 million users. Apparently 50 million users was using ChatGPT through WhatsApp. And come January, that will be shut down. Which, remember, WhatsApp is owned by Meta. Meta also makes AI chatbots and doesn't want probably their competition, namely OpenAI, literally in their app, WhatsApp. But
yeah, and I mean, it's not just ChatGPT. They made a change and they're shutting this down for, I don't know what they called it, like generic bots, or I can't remember, but like they just changed the policy because they realized that if they changed that policy, it would cut off ChatGPT.
Well, yeah, convenient. So that's going away. iPhone Air, supposedly the supply chain is cutting production by 80%. Now, the iPhone Air launched in China. I don't know if we talked about it last week, but supposedly it did well in China, but apparently nowhere else. Not selling. I was actually at an Apple store the other day. I had to return that Blackmagic Camera Pro dock. I talked about that, and it wouldn't let me return it online. I bought it online, and I tried to go in the Apple store to return, and it was like, this item can't be returned. I was like, we'll see about that. So I went to the Apple store, and have you been to an Apple store to return something recently, by the way?
No, I almost had to because I sent something back. I returned something. I don't want to talk about what it was. Doesn't matter. To Apple.
Okay.
And they sent it back to me.
Really?
And they're like, the thing that was, there's actually what they said was there was something we weren't expecting in the box, so we're sending it back to you. And I was like, did I leave a pencil in there? Like, what is this all about? It's like, don't worry, you don't have to pay for it. And they sent me the thing back. And so then I had to get on to chat, like the support chat, which the person was very helpful because it was an actual person. This will become important later. And I was like, can I just take it to the store? And they're like, well, because this was a refurbished thing, you can't just return it to the store. So they just did whatever they had to do on their end for me to print a new label and send it back again. And this time it worked. They kept it.
It was strange. So, well, I went to return this thing in the Apple store. They do this new thing now where the Apple store employee shows you a QR code. You scan it with your iPhone and it immediately connects to your Apple ID. And so they can see my order history on their device, and the item I'm returning, they can just tap the item, tap return, and then it goes through. And so that was the first time I experienced that. So I didn't like have to show them like my email, proof of purchase, whatever, like connecting my Apple ID. They just see my orders on their phone. I was like, that's pretty wild. But
Steven, do you know, that is terrifying. If they scan it, they're like, you have 722 devices attached to this Apple ID.
Well, it was just showing my Apple Store orders.
Orders, gotcha.
It wasn't showing, it wasn't showing devices connected to my Apple ID. It was showing like, so they saw like my latest orders and they could tap one to return it. That was it. Yeah. Not
Got it.
That would be terrifying. No. Not that.
They'd be like, bro, you don't need to come here anymore. You have all of them. You
You're
have
done.
them all.
You've accomplished it.
You've won the game. You've done it.
Game over. But I asked the employee, because it was like 8:45 at night, so I was like, these guys are going to be loosey-goosey. They can tell me whatever. So I was like, hey, how are iPhone sales going?
You slip them a little bit of something, get them liquored up first.
Slid a crisp $5 bill. I said, how's iPhone sales going? And he was like, well, I asked how iPhone Air sales, and he was like, yeah, people are buying them, but we can't keep these Pro Max in stock. And basically saying, like, everyone's buying the Pro Max. Like, literally, they had no 17 Pro Maxes in stock when I was there. And then I posted that online, and a bunch of people on social media were like, Pro Max, you have to wait weeks, not in stock around the store. So I think all the anecdotal and anecdata evidence, iPhone Air is not selling very well. People still love the Pro and Pro Max. I've seen some theories that people go to what's familiar, and so if they've used a Pro phone for a while, they want to do that. If they used the 16 or the 15 before it, they just want to go with the 17. And while it's impressive when you hold it, it's not something people actually want to buy and keep as their phone. So
it's too expensive. And
it's expensive.
I wonder if maybe Apple, showed a couple ads on television for the iPhone Air. They show an ad every 6 minutes for the iPhone Pro, Pro Max, whatever. I've not seen a single ad for the iPhone Air. Not one.
Really?
Have you?
Well,
Can you honestly think you remember?
I watch TV.
Okay, so Apple shows a lot of iPhone ads during sporting events.
Yes.
Zero of them are iPhone Air.
That is interesting. That's weird. Well, I just want to say, the biggest reason why someone wouldn't go in Air is probably cameras, especially if you're a pro user using an M5 MacBook Air or whatever. No, I'm just kidding. Tyler Stallman, great YouTube channel, professional photographer. He actually did a video about the iPhone Air from a photographer's perspective, and he gets great photos out of it. It's a very capable camera. He talks about the differences between the Pro, even just the main lens. He noticed differences between the main lens on the Pro and the iPhone Air camera. And so I'll put this in the show notes as well. It's a great watch. But yeah, people I don't know, demand for the iPhone Air. It's not super high.
It's a good phone.
It's a great phone. I'm still I was tempted to be oh, should I get I regret trading in certain Apple devices, like my original what was it? The iPhone 10. I wish I would have kept the iPhone 10. I wish I'd have kept my original G4 12-inch PowerBook. And I wish I would have kept my original iPad. Those are all devices I either traded or gave away. And so I was should I get an iPhone Air just to have it? But then I'm I can always go on eBay 10 years from now and get whatever. And so I have not bought another one.
I will just say iPhone 11 Pro might be the best iPhone Apple made. I think it's better than the iPhone 10 because it has the 3 cameras.
We don't have time to get into this.
But I'm just saying it's the best phone. And we have one, and it's been handed down 4 times.
No.
It's still rocking just as, yeah.
The 11 also, the camera got really good compared to the 10S because the 10S camera and 10 were a little rough. But the 10 was the first major redesign of the iPhone from the original. So that's why I wanted to, in retrospect, I would have liked to have kept it.
Listen, when my youngest son is done with the 11 Pro, I'll send it to you. Then we'll hand it down 6 times.
I don't want the. Oh, sure. One of my kids will probably love it. iOS 26.1. There was the latest beta. This was beta 4. There's a liquid glass toggle now, not an accessibility setting, but just straight up clear or tinted. So now you can not have as much glass if you want in 26.1 when that comes out, probably in a couple weeks. But it's better because the accessibility reduced transparency setting was a little odd. Tab bars in certain apps would just kind of have just black out. It was weird. So Apple is, I don't know, with split view on coming back to iPad in 26.1, and now we have a liquid glass toggle. I guess they're really listening to users and trying to do all the things. I don't know. It seems like the most that Apple is making software changes to appease users. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I feel like this is along the lines of the Eddie Q statement about changing the name for Apple TV. Essentially what they're saying is maybe we got this a little bit wrong. But we're not going to ever say that. We're going to just make a little bit of a change, put it in a setting, do a thing, and maybe hopefully this makes everybody happy. So
maybe. Last thing, this was just big news on Monday, was AWS went down and then no one could use the internet.
I mean, maybe that's why, Steven, you didn't actually. Why are you not linking to my articles? I do
What
this
do you mean?
podcast.
I got 3
What
of
do
your
I mean?
articles in today. What are you talking about?
I wrote about this. I was one of the first people to write about this.
Hold on, let me click.
Because
here.
I found out about it. Listen, everyone's posting man, Asana doesn't work. Oh, I'm having trouble logging into this. You know how I found out about this? I found out about it because the teens in my house were very mad that Snapchat was not working. This is how I knew there was a problem, and they were especially mad that I wouldn't fix it for them. And I'm like, who do you think I am?
Can't you go to Amazon servers?
Don't understand what you think. I mean, there have been a couple times where I've noticed a thing has happened and I've written about a thing that's happened and then the thing gets fixed and I'm not taking any credit for it. I know in at least one case there is something that a company didn't even realize was, and if I had not, it was relatively obscure. So had I not written about it, it might not have been fixed. Again, I'm not saying that to toot my own horn. What I will say is I cannot fix Snapchat. I cannot fix Fortnite. I can't fix ChatGPT logins. I don't have any, I'm sorry. Also, it's pretty widely covered. It's fine. Like
Yeah.
it's going to get fixed. So.
I will say it broke a lot of my shortcuts that use ChatGPT in the background, and I was not.
Yeah, because I think it was the
not
login authorization or whatever that was actually broken. So
it was frustrating. I will link Jason's article.
I'm just saying,
in
I go
the
through all
show
this
notes.
work to provide you with content, and then you go
I forgot.
link
Listen, I
in the
go through
Verge
Reader.
or whatever.
Anyway, we'll get to this.
I like the Verge, by the way. Go ahead.
No. I took their website out of here. It's not going to be in the show notes.
No more.
I banned all their links. Even if your article's not about the same thing, I'll just replace.
Just put an article. I've got a Taylor Swift article too. You could just link that for fun. I'm just
okay,
kidding.
there you go. Well, I'm going to show another one of your articles because for our personal tech segment, Jason's going to go. Oh wait, before you do, let me play a listener voicemail because listener Miles sent us a wonderful voicemail, and also Stephen Greer sent us a message. You can send us a voicemail. That link is in the show notes at the top. Here's Miles.
Hey Stephen, hey Jason. It's Miles here, and hello from the UK. I've been listening since your very first episode, and I've been a member for about as long as I can remember. You've basically been part of my tech routine ever since. My unofficial Friday morning meeting, really. Battery percentage off, iPhone in my dominant pocket, naturally. I'm rocking an iPhone 15, limited to 80% charge from day one. I've just hit around 570 charge cycles, and I'm at 93% battery health. So after all that effort, I think I've gained about 3% peace of mind. Still not actually sure it's worth the stress. I usually listen on my Powerbeats Pro, as they're brilliant for running, but I'm definitely tempted by the new AirPods. Maybe I'll cave once you two convince me. And Jason, I'm completely with you. Hey Siri only on the Apple Watch is absolutely the way to go. One trigger is plenty, thank you very much. Anyway, thanks for all the laughs and tech therapy each week. Love what you're doing, and keep up the great work.
I just want to say, if you have a British accent, you can have your battery percentage on. It's fine. As long as you say it with a British accent. I mean, off. I'm sorry. You can have your battery percentage off, and you can put your phone in whatever pocket you want. If you sound like Miles, it's fine.
That was a wonderful message, and I think I heard a dog in the background, so you could tell him he's a good boy.
Either that or he's trying to unlock his door and his keys were not going in the lock. One of the things.
Tech therapy. That's a good tagline. We're tech therapy for Thursdays and Fridays. And, one other listener, this was Stephen Gear. He wrote us in saying, my TV is a HomeKit TV. Does that justify having Wi-Fi on? We talked about whether you should connect your TV to the internet. I've got CEC turned on for all connected devices, so I never have to touch the original remote. I do have a soundbar and subwoofer, but would love for a new set of HomePods as my primary audio source for TV connected devices. Congrats on 100 episodes and keep up the great work. Thank you, Stephen. I don't know, is that...
What is a HomeKit TV? I'm sorry.
You can get TVs with HomeKit so you can turn it on and off from the Home app.
You can do that anyway if you have an Apple TV plugged into it.
Well, but that's the Apple TV controlling the TV.
That's literally the only time that's the only way we turn on a TV is turn on the TV in the living room, turn off the TV in the living room.
Here's the
Seriously.
thing. When you have kind of an old and busted home theater receiver like I do, sometimes CEC doesn't work. So I'll turn on my Apple TV, but the TV doesn't turn on. And so I'll have someone has to manually turn it on. So to be honest, to Steven's point, if I had a TV with HomeKit and I could have a scene that makes sure the TV turns on no matter what my dumb receiver does, I would do that. So Steven, I would say if you have HomeKit TV, I understand. You can connect.
I'm sorry, no. I'm still going to say no. I'm sorry. I'm just saying this doesn't feel like it's a worthy exception to the rule when you can solve this problem other ways.
Getting CEC to work would be better. I don't want to buy another home theater receiver because they're really expensive. And I also don't know which one to get. So
why do you need a home theater receiver? Aren't you just rocking the Sonos stuff?
No, our family room, when we built the house.
We don't have to get into it today.
We don't have to get into it, but I did put in 4 in-ceiling speakers, 2 in-wall speakers. I have a subwoofer and a center channel. I have the whole 7.1 thing. And so I had that home theater receiver in our family room. Plus there's 18 game systems, a Blu-ray player, my Apple TV, all in the home theater receiver. So I'm in the receiver life in that room. And so, yeah.
That feels like another rule. Just don't get sucked into the receiver life.
But, I mean, what would you do for, if you have 6 devices you need to get into your TV? Just get an HDMI, input switcher?
Well, you can... So, Apple solved this problem for you. Plug them directly into your television, and they'll send the audio back out, through the AirPods.
Yeah, but even you can get max 4 HDMI ports.
You can buy an HDMI
that's what I'm saying.
Splitter.
So you would do that, but... I don't know. That's not great. Anyway, I like my receiver when it works.
It's better than turning on your TV and having it ask you if it can update. Literally, I will do anything and go to any length to avoid that.
You know what would avoid it? If just Apple made a TV. Just saying. That
No,
would ruin
actually,
the
it
TV.
probably would want to update, and then you'd have to connect it to the internet.
You don't need to TV.
I would still plug in an Apple TV to it and then
Yeah.
turn off the Wi-Fi.
That's funny.
The Apple TV is great. I love it.
It's great. I love it too.
You want to know what I don't love?
Yeah. Transition. Tell me about what you don't love, Jason. This is our personal tech segment.
All right, I'll give you the short version of this,
That's good.
which is I was waiting on an M5 iPad Pro, and it was supposed to be here on Tuesday. And it said it was going to deliver by noon. And when Apple sends you things, a little bit of back inside information, you got to sign for them. That's like pretty makes sense. They want to make sure it gets there. So I had rearranged my day. I had a meeting in the morning. I had to leave before I came home to wait. I was like, I'll just wait till noon. At about 11:55, I look at the app, the FedEx app on my phone, and it's like scheduled delivery noon. Current location, Memphis. Now, I know most of our listeners don't know exactly where I live, but I'm about 700 miles from Memphis. Okay, I live in Michigan. They both start with an M.
Very
FedEx
different.
doesn't seem to realize that they're not the same. And I'm like, why does it say that it's still going to be here at noon? I'm like, well, maybe like it just didn't get scanned. That does happen sometimes, but so I waited. It didn't. Late, I had to go about my day. I was like, worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to try to deliver this. They're going to leave me the sticky thing on my door. I'll have to deal with this tomorrow. Whatever. It's an M5 iPad Pro. It's basically the same as the M4 iPad Pro. I'm not writing the embargo's already gone by. It doesn't matter
Right,
at
you
this
missed the
point. So
embargo.
whatever. I'm going to use it for a week and then I'll come up with something clever to write about. That's just what I do. And so at about 9 o'clock, though, I'm like, I don't understand. Did they lose this? So I get on 9 or 10 o'clock. I get on, and if you scroll down, you'll see you can actually see the chat conversation I had with UPS. I just said, why wasn't it? Says ask me a question or ask a question. So I was like, this is cool. There's an AI virtual assistant. I'm gonna ask, why didn't this get delivered? Your package is expected to be delivered on October 21st.
Oh.
Well, it was October 21st.
Right.
I said, but it wasn't delivered. Why? Your package is expected to be delivered on October 21st. And at one point, it actually said to me, my response is going to be similar to an answer I've already given you. Would you like me to tell you again? I'm like, what are you here for? Why are you? I said, this is supposed to be delivered today by 10 o'clock and it won't be delivered. Why not? It's expected to be delivered on October 21st. It just kept doing that. And then at one point I said something like, give me a representative. I want to chat with a human. And it's like, you'd have to call. Now, I did not call because I've done that before and it's garbage.
Yeah, it's
because it just will not let you talk to a person.
Right.
And I personally, I think we've talked about AI slop. This is the worst kind of AI slop because companies are doing. Now, I understand that there is a probably large use case for if somebody's just like, I don't have a FedEx account, but like I have a tracking number and I don't think it's here. Can I just ask the bot and it'll just be like, it's expected to be delivered. We are already past the point of expected to be but First of all, FedEx's tracking system should be like, it ain't coming, bro. You're going to have to wait till tomorrow. Just tell me that,
Just
you know,
say
like,
that.
but it doesn't do that. It just keeps repeating the same nonsense because, and when you want to talk to a person, it's almost as if they've put up this wall. And actually, this is true if you call, by the way. This is true of FedEx and it's true of UPS. If you call, the only thing they will tell you is our representatives don't have any more information than our website.
Right.
It's like, but your website doesn't say anything. And I actually know for a fact, because I worked for FedEx many, many, many years ago, that is just blatantly not true. I could tell you stories of people who work at FedEx who will literally contact someone at a station somewhere. And I know for a fact of like a family that was going to adopt a baby and they had to get a passport renewed. They were like traveling out of the country to adopt, and they had a flight and the passport didn't arrive. And a VP or a manager of one of the FedEx stations cracked open the cargo container, found their passport, and met them halfway to the airport. Like these people will like their promise means something to them, and then you put these garbage robots in between it, and it just makes people mad. And now we're talking about it on a podcast, and I wrote about an article, and I'm like, I did eventually get the iPad Pro yesterday,
The next day, yeah.
And so I'm glad I didn't I knew I was going to. I was not mad about the fact that it was not delivered. I was like, stuff happens. Like there could have been a thunderstorm in Memphis. Like that's the kind of thing that happens. The people who deliver FedEx packages are fantastic.
Yes.
I ended up having it held at the FedEx location near me because I knew I would just go get it. That'd be fine. The people there, they all know me. They're wonderful people. The problem is not that. The problem is the people who made the decision to put AI robots between them and their customers. And I just feel like this is where we're going because this is like in a bean counter's mind, the best use case of this stuff. And it's just terrible, Stephen.
Because it's cheaper and it does save on like less customers will call in just because they can't get through. And
But the problem is, Steven, someone thinks, you know what? Our customer calls have gone way down. That doesn't mean you solved more problems. It just means they all gave up and they're just mad.
But I mean, I've worked in enough corporate situations where like the bean counter, like you're saying, if the number of calls goes down and they're paying less for customer service, that's a win in their mind.
And in some cases, I realize that there is it may even be the majority of cases, the robot does answer the question better. But what I think is it doesn't matter, because if what you want is to talk to a human, you should be able to talk to a human, because anything else, a robot that does a better job of answering your question is still a worse experience.
Why? I mean, this is like your conversation with the chatbot in the article. It's so much worse.
It's insane.
It's insane, but it's so much worse than ChatGPT. So like, what are they using? Some like in-house bad AI chatbot?
If they ever get back to me, because I did reach out for a comment, the last line of my article says something like, I reached out. This is what we always do. We always reach out, like give them a chance to comment. Usually companies don't reply on the timeline that you have. So it says, FedEx, I reached out to FedEx, but they didn't respond immediately to provide a comment. And my next line was going to be, which is not surprising because they also can't tell me where my package is. But since I got the package, I realized I was not going to throw them under the bus that way. That was like a cheap shot. But like, so if they ever reach out and they let me know, usually what happens is they ignore your email, or they just didn't see the email, but then they 100% know you wrote the article because they have the little Google alerts or whatever. So someone will probably reach out to me today. And if they tell me, like, I want to know, like, what is it you're using? Because the implication that it gives is ask a question, which makes it sound like I can just say, this was supposed to be delivered today. Why wasn't it delivered today? And if all you're going to tell me is it's expected to be delivered today, which is what it says on the website, which actually, Stephen, there's two problems there. It makes it feel like the whole tracking thing is just theater.
Right.
Because it still said it's expected to be delivered today, long after everyone knew it was not coming today. Right.
You knew, the driver knew, everybody knows.
Yeah, I waved at the driver when he went by my house. He's not coming back, okay?
Well, it's just weird because, like, even ChatGPT, if it was full-on hallucinating, would not be as repetitive and dense as the chatbot you were talking to. So if they're not using OpenAI, that's why I'm really curious, like, is it some in-house chatbot? And websites and customer services had chatbots for a long time, but before OpenAI probably even offered this service. So I'm genuinely curious if any of you work out there in some deep, dark like server farm where these chatbots live for customer service for like FedEx or whatever. I'm curious because ChatGPT would be better, and I don't know why OpenAI is not going after FedEx to be like, hey, you can have a much better experience. At least it'll hallucinate and maybe make people not as mad.
Well, and if you think about it, part of the problem, though, is the tracking infrastructure, the way that it's like they don't change the expected delivery date based on its current location. Right. That was based on when it was first scanned in and whatever calculation it does on the time it should take to get there. So that's problem number one. And I worked at a FedEx Kinko's. And so people would call the actual store. It's like, don't know what you're talking about. We just print stuff, okay? Like if you need us to put a binding on your book report, we could do that. But like we literally had no more information. But so I get it. FedEx probably gets a lot of phone calls, and there's literally no way they could pay enough people to answer those phone calls. So they're trying to triage it. But a lot of I have had conversations. So Delta has a great chat. You can just iMessage Delta, and the
business chat,
the chat bot, which is not a human, does a very good job, and you can actually do a lot. But if you keep asking the same question, or if it's clear that it can't answer, it'll just immediately say, it seems like a person would do a better, like, it seems like you would like to talk to a person. Let me get someone. Like it does that immediately. And it's like, that should be the default. Use the AI to fix the problems for the people that have like the really low hanging fruit. But as soon as there's any friction, or as soon as there's a problem, you should immediately kick that to a person.
And last thing I'll say, I listened to this podcast a long time ago. It was Thank You for Calling was the name of the show. And they did an episode on customer service and airlines. And the frustrating part is they talk about in this episode is sometimes, like, that if you just get the right person on the phone, that you can get the help you need. Because sometimes you get that person and it just, everything happens and you get the package or you get the right information. And it's like, why can't it just be like that every time? And like there was one, when I ordered, I think it was the M1 iPad Pro. I had ordered it. It was going to be delivered. I missed the delivery somehow. And I called FedEx. And because I knew where like the actual ship station was in Lakeland, I was able to talk to them and say, like, if you come now, we close at 5:30. If you come now, it's literally here in the ship station because the truck brought it back. We will hand it to you. And so I drove to the ship station. They handed me the iPad and the Magic Keyboard. And I wish Apple would maybe start delivery of new products on Thursdays. So if you miss, you at least have one day. Because the problem is, it used to be if you miss it on Friday, then you got to wait till Monday. Like there's nothing in between. And so it'd be nice. I don't know. Maybe switch it to Thursdays or something. But anyway. And like in that situation, it was like I got the person who had the juice to get me to like tell me what to do and where to go, and I was able to do it. And sometimes it's like that with airlines. Any customer service, it's like if you get the right person, you get the right answer. Or at least the answer that like is possible. And I mean, the AI chatbot will never be that person.
Right. But you know what I should have been able to do? I should have been able to say, well, I waited around all day for this, and if it's not coming today, I just want to know. The response should have been, you know what? It's not coming today. It's still in Memphis. We're going to attempt a delivery tomorrow. If tomorrow is going to be inconvenient for you, would you like me to just have it sent to the location? Because that's what the person would do, right? If I had been able to talk to a person.
And that's what I
ended up doing on my own because I get a lot of FedEx packages, and so I knew that was an option. But it's like, they set the expectation really high, and then they didn't have the ability to meet that expectation no matter what.
It would have been better if the chatbot just said, "Sorry, bro, it's not coming today."
Like it would have been better if the chatbot had just glitched out like you did at the beginning of this episode and just been like, I don't know who you are, what you're talking about. Because then I'd have just been like, but it's like, ask me a question. And so I'm like, I keep asking you the same question. And you just keep like saying the same thing. It's like, and I finally even said, let me give it more information. I know it's expected today. It's already 10 o'clock. It's not coming today. Why?
Right.
It's expected today.
It's the worst sci-fi
Just sit there
ever.
and wait, bro. Just keep waiting. Keep waiting.
You would still be waiting. All right. We're going to record a bonus episode. The topic is I quit my job, and we're going to talk about it, which I think is the first time I'm publicly saying that. I've not said it on my YouTube channel and stuff like that. So we're going to go talk about that in the bonus episode, plus a little behind the scenes of my Apple interview. So if you want to hear the bonus episode, get an ad-free version of this show, get Primary Tech Daily, get the unedited feed, all of those benefits, you can go to join.primarytech.fm, support the show there. And you can do it directly in Apple Podcasts as well, but you get chapters if you do it at join.primarytech.fm. So do that because Apple strips my chapters out. Leave us a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts. We'd appreciate that. Let's get to 400 before the end of the year. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time.